velho some, bomba, 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 bomba. E velho some, bomba, 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 lá.
Childhood for me, I mean, I think I had like a good childhood for sure. But like, I think childhood probably ended for me when I like went into middle school, because once middle school came around, like everything just changed. But that's besides the subject. But back to being childhood was like really good for me. I think I went to Brazil, I think 3 times in my childhood, and I just got to experience like different culture and being somewhere else for once. And yeah, I mean, like for the most part I had like a loving family. I guess you could say I was like the favorite, but things changed after a while. But yeah, I think childhood was actually really good for me. I look back to it a lot and I'm always like, oh, I wish I could be a kid again. But you know, you grow up eventually, so you can't do anything about that. But childhood was really good, I think. Yeah. So as a kid, none of that like ever played part in my mind, I guess you could say. Like I don't know, like I was just a kid. I wasn't specifically a boy or specifically a girl. I mean, I was a boy because people told me I was a boy. But as I got older, like I started realizing that I liked boys, and I was like, oh, does that mean I'm gay? And everyone started calling me gay, so I was like, oh, that means I'm gay, right? But then, like, being, I guess, you know, part of the LGBTQ community, and like I started like realizing that gay guys like weren't for me. I was liking straight guys more than I liked gay guys, or only like straight guys and didn't really like gay guys. But yeah, like I just always went towards like feminine things. Like when I went to Brazil when I was 7 years old, I would always play with my cousins, and they were like my girl cousins. We would play like Polly Pocket and Barbie and all this stuff. Or like whenever we would play like imaginary games, like I always wanted to be a girl. Or if I played like video games, I always chose a girl character. Like it just always was a girl. And like my dad would like pulverize me for it, like, why are you playing as a girl and blah blah blah, just all this stuff. But like I think it happened when because I mean I've just been super into the internet like ever since I was a kid, like whenever we had a like computer or whatever. But I like, you know, I got into YouTube, and then I started seeing like trans females like posting stuff about being transgender and how they knew, and like, or just like coming out to like YouTube or like the world, I guess you could say, or social media. And I don't know, the more that I watched them, like I didn't really think about it or think anything of it when I first watched it, but the more I watched it, I was like, oh my god, I think I resonate with that. I think that's who I am. I think that's like I think I'm a girl, you know what I mean? And then pretty much like I didn't think about it that much. It wasn't like, oh my god, like revolutionary or anything like that. I was just like, I'm a girl, and that's it. Like that was it. And I mean, like my friends at that time weren't necessarily like, oh, I don't support you, but like they were supportive, I guess. But like when I would get mad that like they called me by like they would call me like the wrong pronouns, I would probably like, I think I like cried about it one time, and like they kind of just brushed off my feelings like there weren't anything. But I'm rambling now. But yeah, I think I figured out, like I knew when I was like 14, but in reality I always knew. But it wasn't a thing of like, a lot of trans people say like, oh, I'm trapped in the wrong body. Like, no, I'm in the right body. Like, I mean, I'm trans for a reason, you know what I mean? But like, I don't know, like I don't think there was ever a point where like I was necessarily like male, like I was only male because people were telling me that I was. But like if I would have been more informed and my parents were more like supportive of like LGBTQ and that type of stuff, and just like were like opening me up to all the options, I probably would have known earlier. But I feel like 14 was a good age for me to figure out, because like if I was younger, maybe I could have like been making decisions that weren't necessarily the right ones for me. So yeah, that's when I figured out. So the first steps, I mean, like I said, since YouTube was kind of like the thing that opened me up to like what trans was and like what being transgender is, yada yada yada, etc etc. I pretty much learned just from like the girls on YouTube and doing my research, because I mean I don't really know. I don't have trans friends now that I think about it. Like none of my friends are trans, but like I had to kind of just learn through YouTube and doing my research. So like as the girls were transitioning on YouTube, like because a lot of them document like their transition, like I was kind of going along with them. Unfortunately, I couldn't take hormones or change my name or pretty much get started on like the real like what people call transition or like physical transition because my parents don't support it. But I think like for me it was pretty much just like transitioning as if I was on hormones, because like seeing myself grow from, because I'm 17 now, but from going from 14 to 17, it just, I don't know, like I've seen myself grow so much, like just as being a woman. Like I earned my womanhood for sure. Like I fought for that shit like left and right, up and down, like all over the place, with my parents, with the school, with like church, with cousins, family, just everyone. Like I had to fight for it, you know what I mean? And I did, and I gained my right. I think I gained my right as a woman, honestly. But yeah, I think like first steps were pretty much like, you know, like wearing bralettes or like trying to wear a bra, wearing like more feminine clothing, which honestly most of my clothes were already like, I guess, from the female section. Started off with like Forever 21 clothes, like little crop tops, getting like clothes from the thrift store, cutting them, just stuff like that. And like, and then I eventually like got into doing my makeup, started doing makeup, like started like shaving and doing all that stuff, which honestly didn't even work out that well. But I don't know, I just started doing things that I saw like all my other girlfriends were doing, or like, or thought that most girls were doing in high school and stuff like that. So that's pretty much my first steps, doing what everyone else is doing, I guess you could say. Yeah. The first year of my transition, I think it was like an experience, like things were new, you know what I mean? Like, not that like I had to change my whole life, like, oh, like I'm a boy and now I'm a girl and I need to do this and this and this. Like, no, I honestly really went into it like kind of gradually. I mean, according to my dad, I was taking it way too fast, but I don't think I was. I think I'm going at a really great pace. But like my first year, like the friends that I was like when I first started transitioning, like they weren't necessarily the best for me because I didn't really care that I was trans, and I didn't like acknowledge my feelings of like being trans. Like, oh my god, like this is, I mean, because it's not a big deal, but obviously for me being 14, like first figuring it out, like, oh my god, like I'm a girl, like I need to fix some things. Like I don't know, they just weren't very like helpful. And then I met my friend Mirena, who just like, she didn't really understand it, and obviously she's not gonna understand it because she's not trans, but like she was there for me every step of the way. Like she's just always constantly helping me with whatever I needed, and like she like bought like tons of makeup for me, she just bought a bunch of stuff for me. So it's kind of just like as if like you're a teenage girl in middle school and you're figuring out all these new things, and you're just like, oh my god, makeup, like clothes, like I'm just like a little thought, like just like things like that. You just like, it's kind of as if like I was going through puberty for the first time, even though I'm not on hormones, but like it was just pretty much like going through puberty for the first time, like as like a female, as like a girl, and just like seeing like whatever all the other girls are doing. And you know what I mean, like when you're in middle school, you're just like, oh my god, like girls are doing this, like I need to be like her. So it's kind of just like those type of thoughts, like just like pretty much being a youngin and being like, oh, like I think I should do this because everyone else is doing it, you know what I mean? I was just kind of following the trends, like Instagram HD makeup, just like that type of stuff, you know? But I think in the beginning, like, because I think I'm talking about more like my second year rather than my first year, but I think I was kind of like, not, I guess you could say closed off to the fact of being trans, because like I knew I was trans, but I didn't want to tell people that I was trans, because I feel like obviously from the family that I come from, like when they figured out that I was gay or whatever, like which was forced out of me technically, they weren't like, they obviously weren't fans, they weren't supportive, but like, so obviously telling somebody else I was trans was just like crazy to me. I was like, oh my god, like I feel like this is a secret thing, like I can't tell anybody. So like I was doing things on my own, but like very slowly and gradually it started off, like I said, with like clothes, like crop tops and stuff like that. But my first year of my transition was just, it was cool. It was an experience. It wasn't necessarily bad. I feel like it was more in between the first and second year where things started kind of going bad because my parents figured out, or like people were telling my parents that they saw me like wearing girl clothes. And then just like once that happened, it kind of just blew up, and I was like, hey, like I'm a girl, and now that you guys know, I'm gonna just do it anyway, because obviously I don't care. I mean, I didn't care that you guys thought I was gay and didn't accept it or whatever. So yeah, I think first year was just like getting on board and just like starting my transition. And my biggest pet peeve with the trans community, I think it would be something that I went through as well, is like wanting to pass, and passing pretty much means like you're a trans female, right? And obviously a lot of people tend to have problems with that, but like passing as a cis female, so like passing just like as any old regular girl, like that's what most trans girls like that I see want to be, especially at the beginning of their transition. They're like, oh my god, I need to be like a regular or a real woman, you know what I mean? And that's so detrimental to your health, like to be thinking that, because that's the way that I thought. I was like, I need to be like all the other girls, you know what I mean? But if you think about it, like let's just say like trans doesn't exist and you're just all women, you're all different at the same time. Like, you're not all the same. So it's like, it's impossible to be doing what everyone else is doing. When you are wanting to pass, I feel like, or for me at least, I tended to like envy other girls because I was like, oh, they have this, or they have boobs, or like they just look more feminine, their voice is more feminine, and blah 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 blah. Like, just like looking at a girl and be like, I don't look like that, and that bothers me. So like I would look in the mirror and be like, oh my god, I don't look like this, and I was just like always comparing myself to someone. So it was like, I don't know. And I feel like if that's something that I as a trans girl went through, then I feel like a bunch of other trans girls go through that as well. And not even just trans girls, I feel like probably trans males like that, I feel like they probably go through the same exact thing. So like I feel like that is my biggest pet peeve, is that we always tend to like compare ourselves to real women, and that's only because like people are telling us like, oh, like for example, like if I go on Tinder or something like that and I'm talking to a guy, and then like I'll brush them off because like I'm not interested, you know what I mean? They'll be like, oh, I'll just go find a real woman. And it's just like, excuse me, like, are you like telling me that I didn't earn my womanhood? Like, I'm not a real woman because what's like between my legs? And it's like, who's for you to even know what is between my legs, whether or not I tell you I'm trans? You know what I mean? Like, that doesn't mean I'm pre-op or post-op. You like, that's something that happens in between four walls, and like nobody needs to know about that except for you and your partner or whoever you're fucking, I guess you could say. But like, yeah, that's my biggest pet peeve, that we're always comparing ourselves to real women. Being in my shoes today, honestly, that's a lot of things. I feel like whenever I argue with my mom, I'm just like, if you were in my shoes for a day, you would know what it's like. But I think being in my shoes, they're not very comfy because I like to wear sizes a little bit smaller because I'm just joking. But no, like I think now, I mean, it's not necessarily hard, but I think like life in general is just super, like, it's bittersweet. It's just bittersweet. That's how it is. So I mean, like, a lot of my friends, like, they know that I'm trans and everything. Like, I mean, obviously, I tend to tell everybody, like, as soon as, like, we become friends, because I don't want it to be a problem with or anything. Or I want to make sure that they know what my pronouns are and, like, how it is to, like, be respectful towards me, I guess you could say. But, like, I don't know, a lot of people, like, don't even know that I'm trans, or, like, they don't even, like, remember that I'm trans, or just, like, oh, like, you're literally just one of us, which is technically exactly what I want, but at the same time, I'm just, like, I feel like maybe my friends should be more, like, they should know more about trans, like, you know what I mean, like, my rights as a person, or, like, as a trans female, and just, like, I don't know, but I feel like that's totally not what this has to do with, but, like, I don't know, I think just being in my shoes is, like, it's pretty, I mean, I have enough love for myself to where it's like, it's not that hard. Like, if somebody were to like be like, oh, you tranny, or like just like come at me and like sideways, you know what I mean, about me being trans, I'm just like, I kind of just brush it off, you know what I mean? I'm just like, well, you're gonna have your opinion at the end of the day, and I'm gonna have my opinion at the end of the day, so like, to each their own, you know what I mean? Like, honestly, for the past few days I've been saying like to each their own like every 3 seconds, but like, it's true, like, to each their own. Like, everyone's gonna want to do what they want to do at the end of the day, as long as you're not harming anyone else or like harming yourself, then I think it's perfectly fine. Like, I'm just walking in my shoes like anybody else is, you know what I mean? I work, I go to school, I do my art, like, I just do my shit. Like, I do what everyone else is doing pretty much, but obviously my own thing, my own life, what I'm doing. But like, I would say being in my shoes like a year ago, fucking terrible. I don't think anybody want to step into those shoes, like, you know what I mean? Just like dealing with family and dealing with like what everyone else has to say about you, or like, you shouldn't be doing this, you shouldn't be doing this, and it's like, okay, but are you me? No, you're not me. So like, how are you gonna tell me how to wear my shoes? How are you gonna tell me what shoes to wear? You know what I mean? So it's like, I just think like, it's just, I'm just trudging along. I'm going like down the journey of life like anybody else is. Yeah, like, I think me being a trans girl has nothing to do with me being a girl or being a woman, you know what I mean? I think like, us as a community, we're a community, you know what I mean? Like, obviously there's subsections like the trans community or like the gay community, whatever, etc., but like, overall I think we're all one, man or woman, like, we're just all together, I feel like. And like, it's cool to walk alone, but I feel like right now is the time to be walking together. So